A low-pressure weather bomb pounded Vancouver Island and BC's south coast, knocking out power in 9,000 homes.
Oh my God.
Then 2 weeks later, a rare tornado touched down at the University of British Columbia, just outside Vancouver and near the airport.
You okay? Yeah, okay. I'm okay.
Stunning, experienced meteorologists.
It sure had our collective jaws on the ground when we saw a tornado off of YVR.
Something more severe was building over the Pacific Ocean. 4 days before the storm struck, but BC's Ministry of Forests downplayed the threat. Rivers are expected to rise rapidly Sunday and ease on Monday as the heaviest rainfall passes. Disaster quickly followed. Roads and bridges swept away. Communities swallowed up by the rising waters. In the BC interior, landslides left entire communities cut off from supplies.
We know that these naturally occurring atmospheric rivers are getting more intense and they're dropping a lot more rain in a warmer world. Simply because warmer air holds more water vapor. And so now, when a storm comes along, there's a lot more water vapor in the air for that storm to sweep up and dump on us than there was 50 or 100 years ago.
Ever since the middle of September, we have been dealing with extraordinarily active weather, generally speaking. You know, we're talking about over 200% of normal precipitation, including 5 atmospheric rivers, 3 bomb cyclones, a tornado, and who knows what else before 2021 is over.
Of homes that are destroyed. Some of them will never be able to recover from that. Others they may be able to fix. But these are people that are losing their livelihood, losing their homes.
I think that maybe if the government could step up and help these people out, it'd be really nice. Lots of us are out here and we don't need to be. Everybody out here is freezing cold and we're standing out here. We've been standing here for 2.5 hours. So maybe Trudeau should come and stand out here for a while. See what it's like.
These are satellite images over the last 35 years showing the disappearing tree canopy around Merritt, extensive logging, fires, extreme heat, even a pine beetle infestation have led to the weakening of the soil leading to the landslides.
Anyone who's familiar with the interior of BC and how narrow the passes are, how narrow the rivers are, how extensive the logging has been over the last 100 years, and then you introduce something like climate change, which changes the whole hydrology, the whole water regime, and yeah, you're going to have trouble, big trouble.
In BC, they've already been talking about, why are we logging old growth forests? You know what, when we have trees, those trees keep the soil anchored, prevent landslides, they're a lot healthier and more resilient when forest fires come along, and they soak up the water when we get the heavy rainfall, and they take up carbon too.
We've been putting pressure on the provincial government about the logging, but they need to sit down at the table with First Nations leadership to make that happen, because they need our knowledge so that way we can work collaboratively to make it work. Because we all live in this world, but when you're only looking at it one-sided, it never works.
You look down at an individual farm and realize that that farm is up to its rafters. It's horrible.
Studied flood problems in all of Canada, and yet we still didn't do anything better.
And for those living next to it, the Sumas dike would unleash chaos in the basin below. Remember Kabir, Pavan and Narinder? They were left to grab whatever they could as floodwaters were rising in their home by the minute.
So the whole bottom floor, all the floors like ripped out. There's like at least like a foot and a half of water.
The sofas are floating around.
And Narinder's cedar farm? Gone.
My tractor's all underwater. ATV side by side. My welders, my truck loaded with trees.
But could all of this have been prevented? That's a question people are starting to ask.
There's water in the truck now. I think knowing that this is a lake bed, that this was a lake before, maybe they need to be more prepared. Like, I think the climate's changing. The weather is getting warmer, we're getting more forest fires, and we're going to get more flooding.
District.
This is the most serious emergency in my time here, and I've lived here my whole life. And I cannot recall another catastrophic event of this nature in the last, I'm going to say, almost 100 years. It's heartbreaking. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Absolutely. Yeah.
And Lum believes this heartbreak never had to happen.
I think it was preventable, and I think it was predictable. I've participated in studies and panels where I've raised the same concern, it seems, for the last 10 to 15 years. There's going to be a time and a place where we're all going to be held accountable for our role.
So who should be held accountable? The province sets the standards for dike safety, but local communities are the ones that have to pay for it. And in 2015, this map showed the majority of dikes were in need of urgent repair.
You look at the regional district, and even though it's a large geographic area, you've still got very, very small service areas with, sometimes less than 100 people. It's absolutely asinine to think that they could pay for a multi-million-dollar dike upgrade. It's unfair to just leave the responsibility to the local governments and the regional governments, we do not have the capacity to handle it.
And while governments calculate the costs of a cleanup and compensation, what about the human cost of this climate crisis?
It's just knowing that we're not going to be able to go back home is devastating. And they're talking about 2 years, maybe, if that, and they're going to change the road to get to home. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Is this going to happen every year for our kids and our grandkids and our great-grandkids? We don't know. But we have to do something to slow down on the logging and the mining, because that has a huge impact on Mother Earth. And this is a message not only from Mother Earth, but from the sacred water that goes down, is you better take care of me or I can wipe you out in an instant. That's what we've been told, what the elders were saying, is that's how powerful water can be.